All right, so can you share with me anything that comes to mind for you that informs you of your culture?
Um,
Like
Less than 1% of the population.
you're less than 1%. How would we then, or how would I or someone identify you as someone belonging to the specific culture in which we're discussing?
You really can't.
So how would
That's
you,
that's unless we tell you, you really can't. It's unique.
so would you say it's,
Sometimes there's physical scars, but other than that, you can't tell.
is it like an exclusive, you gotta know someone to know of the culture?
No. Well, yeah.
So I guess what are we, the culture, what are we kind of discussing? Or maybe how did you come to know what you know about your culture?
Um, I joined the military.
And so we are discussing the differences um, because you have like a pretty heavy prevalence or I guess association with being a veteran that you identify with,
Mm-hmm.
where that's, I would say, the polar opposite of myself. I have a desk job and I mean, if we look at it from an outside perspective, I'm female and I identify pretty feminine. You're a masculine male and I identify that way. And I know politically we can kind of be polar opposites. I know in a lot of different ways we might be polar opposites. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of get this interview with you because I like your perspectives and kind of like how you identify is interesting. So maybe can you tell me any stereotypes that you've heard about being a veteran?
We're crazy,
Veterans are crazy. Anything else?
dangerous.
Dangerous.
Um,
Do you believe any of those stereotypes to be true?
no.
Do you think you fit in any of the stereotypes that you mentioned? Or
No.
maybe that you've heard?
No.
Okay. So when you think back to the stereotypes of being crazy or dangerous, what emotions are maybe present for you if you were treated as though you were dangerous or crazy?
It kind of sucks. It's offensive. Like, did a job just like everybody else and then get treated like crap for it.
That's also something I know you've expressed to me in the past, feeling discriminated against because of your veteran background or identification. Can you tell me more about how you see the discrimination or how you feel like being a veteran has affected your being like daily living?
Um, like job hires.
Yeah.
Like, so for example, I applied for a to be a garage installer at a job, and the dude completely ignored my first resume I sent in. Then I sent a second one with all my veteran stuff taken off, all my military history and all that, and he calls me right up.
Also, do you believe that maybe the type of job that you carried in the military also affects or, I don't know, incites the stereotypes?
Yes and no. It's kind of funny. Most people, when you give the name or the nomenclature, don't know what the job is. But when you say, I was out there on the front lines, that's when the viewpoint changes.
So, do you think, because if, do you mind sharing what job you did in the military?
I was 11 Bravo infantryman.
And so, what exactly is an infantryman?
Infantryman is the one that is on the front lines and ensures that the war's won, essentially. He's the main tip of the spear and everyone else's support.
Do you feel like because of your job title or that affects maybe your veteran status, or do you feel is there like subgroups of veterans, or
There are subgroups of veterans.
and do you feel like within that culture of a veteran, is there discrimination against or amongst each other, or
Oh no.
and so once you're like classified as a veteran, is it do you feel like there's a support? Is there others you can rely on or share experiences
We
with
have each
maybe?
other.
Yeah. So it is essentially your own, it is a cultural subgroup, right? Another reason why I wanted to interview you is because I think also looking at if we were viewed from the general public, maybe, like you said, it's hard to seek out that culture of who is a veteran, and sometimes also like our ethnicity, right? Because you claim to be white, and you appear white. I also appear white, but we have we're multiracial. But if you didn't know that, I guess, about me or my ethnicity, from the viewpoint of an outsider, maybe if I was your therapist, or maybe you came to me for support, being a veteran, what are some stereotypes maybe that you've, if you walked in and saw me and your first maybe instincts or perceptions about my culture, or
Nothing?
nothing?
No. Don't care. If you're there to
So,
help me, you're there to help me. You're not.
so have you had, so maybe being a civilian, are there stereotypes that maybe the veterans have about civilians who work like in an office job compared to those who've been on the front lines, I guess?
They don't understand shit.
Okay, so then if you're seeing me and the mentality is that I probably don't know shit because I'm behind a desk, and when you're expressing like maybe these very internal problems stemming from maybe the trauma and the experiences from war and combat that I have never been able to experience, do you think I would be competent enough? Do you believe the stereotypes to be true, or?
Well, like I said, it's just that sort of stuff is stuff you have to go through in order to understand it. So, like being told a million stories over and over and over again and hearing the same similarities between them, it's, yeah, it's different.
So, from your point of view, what do you think the biggest difference or differences between you and I are?
Nothing really other than I wore a uniform.
Um,
And you're a female.
from what do you think is the biggest similarity or similarities that we might have?
Well, we're human. We bleed. We breathe. We do all the same shit.
Although,
We're in the same fucking country. And we sleep under the same fucking flag.
if I were your therapist, what would you want for me to know, or how would you like for me to act that would make you feel comfortable?
Yourself.
Has there been experiences with therapists, or have you seen a therapist that was not a veteran status like a civilian? Because I know also with the military it's pretty close knit if you needed help, right? It's internal. As a veteran, though, do you have the option to see civilian? Is that more readily available? And
I have, and it was like at my worst point, and they tend to get a little squeamish.
so, what would going forward if a civilian or say myself were to be your therapist? What would something that you would want us to really understand or grasp prior to maybe not really giving advice, but hearing or making suggestions to support you?
Just listen. Sometimes we just need to talk it out.
Yeah. So as we close this interview, is there a moment that made you feel less comfortable? And will you share with me what it was and why you felt discomfort?
Nah, I just think about things and they come back. That's all.
Is there something that I could have done differently to make you feel more comfortable? Well, thank you for participating in my interview. I appreciate it.